Morning, Traverse City. For our weekly news wrap-up, we have a short audio clip of the discussion on the 2026 budget. Following that, Jim Horn will give you the latest weekly updated news. So let's go.
So, folks, as River said, we have got about a 2.5-minute clip of some audio that went on at the County Board Commissioners on December 17th. That's Wednesday, December 17th. Anyway, I want to give you an idea what went on. A little bit of a pushback, not pushback so much. It was more questions on some of the budget items. You're going to hear Commissioner Andrews, and she's questioning the chief financial officer of the county, Dean Bott, on a couple different items. And that's generally how it went. This was not an acrimonious meeting by any stretch of the imagination. For a matter of fact, the budget part of it went a lot faster than I thought. But I think more importantly is I think you need to realize that commissioners do push back sometimes on items that they're really uncertain about and need further explanation. So without further ado, here is Commissioner Andrews questioning the Chief Financial Officer, Dean Bott, and then we will go on with other news for this past week. Here we go.
Sure. I have a couple of specific questions, and I'm not sure if these will be answerable. I'm looking at page 11, which is in the memo, and it indicates that the treasurer's actual spending in 24 was $477,000, and projected budget for 26 is $854,000. The budgeted year over year is about a $300,000 increase. What can you help us understand that?
Yes. Well, in 2024, they were down one FTE. I think you started with
FTE, for your information, is full-time employee.
A reference to the actual expenditures.
Yeah, that's the audited as a.
But we're also moving to the BSNA software, the cloud version of that, which I don't know the exact cost, but that is the primary reason for the increase in that cost center. The cost for the move to the cloud for the BSNA tax collection and administration software, and there's also the teller software that was budgeted in a different cost center in 2024.
Is that ongoing? Is that going to be an annual expense? It's a $300,000 increase over budgeted 25, irrespective of unfilled staff positions.
There is a one-time cost component to make that migration that's included in that amount, but the annual amount going forward will be less than that. I don't know the specifics, though, without looking at the proposal to move it to the cloud.
I mean, that's almost more than 50% of their annual budget increase for migrating to something that's meant to improve efficiency.
The board approved it about this time last year. I don't have the specifics on the cost, but that whole cost to move to the cloud is built into that increase that you're seeing.
So will we be able to get an update from the treasurer to understand how that migration is going and what the efficiencies we might eventually see from that would look like? Is that something we could do in the new year? That just strikes me as a large increase. I'm just gonna go down the line. The next one is the Register of Deeds is also looking at a large increase, similar, almost $200,000 over last year's budget, and substantially more probably due to unfilled positions over the 24 actuals. Is that another technology investment, or what's the increase for?
What cost center? What department?
711.
711 is the Register of Deeds, I believe.
Yep.
We do have most of that increase would be because we were paying for their primary software that they use, which is a Fiddler live scan for all of their deeds and documents and the public facing to make those documents available.
So there you have it, folks. Software is expensive, and obviously the questions were well-deserved. You got to find out where the money's going. Just even if you approved it earlier in the year, sometimes we forget how the approvals go and how they affect the budget. Hey, let's get on with the news that happened this week. Northwestern Michigan College and Tribal Campus proposal At Northwestern Michigan College, trustees unanimously approved a new 3-year strategic plan outlining academic and institutional goals for the coming years. Meanwhile, the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians shared its vision to purchase NMC's Boardman Lake campus with plans to transform it into a centralized hub for tribal governmental services. And that's a move that could have far-reaching community impact. And you might remember that campus is at the south end of Boardman Lake. Hey, for you restaurant people, Stone Hound and Two Sons Pizza coming to 8th Street. In local business news, Stone Hound Brewing Company is expanding downtown, taking over the former McLean building on East 8th Street with plans for a second tap room and an 80s basement lounge with complete arcade games. Wow, that'll be neat. And Two Sons Pizza is relocating to Silver Spruce Brewing Company, targeting a late January opening with New York-style pizza pies and a seasonal menu. Downtown parking deck proposal, a major development proposal, hit commissioners' desks this week as BOCC Construction pitched a private public partnership to revive a stalled downtown parking deck and workforce housing project on State Street. The plan could unlock hundreds of parking spaces and retail opportunities tied to the larger West Front Street Loop project. But, as always, it still needs commission consideration in 2026. Hey, this is an interesting story. On workforce trends and the local economy, a new regional study released this week shows remote work preferences on the rise, with 43% of the workforce saying they'd like to work fully remotely, a trend that could influence future housing, transportation, and business patterns across the region. I find that one very interesting because companies have been pushing like crazy, and I think it's primarily because they have the real estate to get the employees back in the office. So I see that as the employees want to work remotely and the employers want to have them back in the office. Very, very interesting. Hey, here's some additional headlines. City and county winter events and holiday markets are going to continue through the weekend. Interlochen Community Art Trail planning is continuing to move ahead. Local parks and conservation efforts receive more than $11 million in state funds. That's always great news. And the Women's Resource Center launches a $3 million capital campaign to expand housing and services. Well, folks, that's your Traverse Talks weekly wrap-up for Friday, December 19th, 2025. We'll be back next week with more stories that matter most to Traverse City and Grand Traverse County. Stay warm and have a great weekend, and more importantly, continue to have a great holiday. Take care.